Thank you. Member for Menzies.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Like yesterday, we hear complaints from the other side about why these MPIs keep coming. And they keep coming because there's no solutions from the other side. There's no solutions. So as soon as there are solutions, these MPIs will change, or they might even stop. And the complaining can stop. Because what we're talking about are actual, real people's lives. And I want to single out a particular part of Melbourne, the seat of Aston, which has suburbs of Rowville and Bayswater and areas that I know really well. And it's important that we acknowledge that that part of Melbourne matters and is doing it tough. And they're looking for solutions from this government. And they're not getting them, and they will pass judgment on this government this Saturday, and we encourage them to do that. Because we're a big, wide, brown land, but 86% of this country live in urban areas. And what we know in urban areas is that the price of land is higher. And when the price of land is higher, you pay more on your mortgage. So people who live in the seat of Aston pay more on their mortgage. So when we look at the figures of an average mortgage, well, I'm glad you raised that. I'll take that interjection. The candidate, Rashina Campbell, lives in the seat of Aston, unlike your candidate. Your candidate does not live in the seat of Aston. Your candidate does not live in the seat of Aston. And we'll hear this mistruth that has been peddled throughout this campaign. No, Rashina Campbell lives in Aston. Rashina Campbell lives in Aston, unlike the Labor candidate. Unlike the Labor candidate. But I'm glad you've raised Rashina Campbell, because Rashina Campbell is someone that I've known personally for many years, someone who is a fighter, an advocate, and an advocate for people who are doing it tough, people who are doing it tough throughout Melbourne. And the reason that matters is because families in the seat of Aston— Deputy Speaker.
I'm listening.
Well, it is hard to hear with the interjections. They seem to be quite upset that Rashina Campbell lives in the seat of Aston, and it's important that that be clarified. So those with a mortgage of $750,000 now have to find an extra $20,000. That's $20,000 after tax. $20,000 after tax. So whether you're a single-income family or a dual-income family, you have to go and find that extra money. Now, we know that's not going to come from a pay rise, whether you're in the private sector or the public sector or self-employed. That's just not how this works. So that extra saving has to come from things that you cut. And it comes in many different ways. When you're standing in the checkout line at Woolworths or Coles at an IGA, there are things that you used to buy that you now put back. And we know that the things that cost most are fresh, quality food. So Australians are having to put quality food back on the shelves. And that's not just for the individual paying the bill, that is for the children in those families. There are real daily consequences for people. We know that when children come home and say, I'd like to go on a camp, and including students from Melbourne and the seat of Aston who would like to be here on a camp, but those things cost money. And again, parents are making choices and they're making sacrifices for things like sport. Joining a soccer team. Soccer is one of the most expensive sports, that you can play. It's not subsidised like AFL and other sports is. And it's so popular in Melbourne, and it's a popular sport in the seat of Aston. And families are telling me, in my seat and in other seats, they now have to pull back. They can't let their kids play the very sport that they want to play. So when the voters of Aston go to the booths on Saturday, they will pass judgment on this government, because I'm not someone who comes in here and blames every interest rate rise on you. I won't do that. But I will say that what you do in response is your responsibility. And you have been found wanting. You have been found wanting. You come in here and want to relitigate the previous government, because that's the easy thing to do. It's easy to stand up and still pretend you're in opposition, pretend you're here. And if you really wish to be over here, you're welcome to come over. You know, that can happen. But if what you want to do is to relitigate the previous government, well, then where you really want to be is in opposition. That's where you really want to be. That sounds like it's easier and it's more fun, because it's easier to throw stones than actually solve problems, for people who are doing it tough. So to the people of Aston, of Rowville, of Bayswater, of Upper Ferntree Gully, this Saturday you get to pass judgment.